This audio fiction is recorded for an adult audience. It may contain scenes of explicit sex, violence, and disturbing supernatural entities. Listener discretion is recommended.
Come, lend me your ear, as I speak to you of the macabre, the cursed, the maligned, the malignant, the possessed, and the downright demonic. Bolt all doors, lock all windows. Are you alone? Are you sure? I suggest you check under the bed, carefully, twice. BARATANAC, a new darkness at the world's edge. Declan, look here. It's the same sinister sweet voice that wakes me in the night. In Bloomsbury, he realized. His drunken breath burned in his lungs. So cold. As the temperature dropped, he knew he was not alone. There was a dull clink as Declan balanced his water glass on a low wall next to him. A bar of candlelight escaped from under the bedroom door. The candles there had burned for hours. His blood was ice as his hands sought his pockets. He fumbled past his phone, the small rectangle burning a weak light through the fabric of his left pocket. With stealth, his fingers sought the comfort of his keys. They delved past the banana and sweet potato into a mass of his usual ballast. Leaves, crystals, shells, driftwood and beach pebbles. He took comfort in the touch of the talismans. Even in Bloomsbury he walked the streets, weighted down by such precious items, to be kept close to him when he wrote. Declan directed the key into the lock. He gripped the door handle. The key ground unnaturally, sticking. Is that grit? He thought. And what's that on the handle? He sniffed the slime on his fingers, his nose wrinkling in disgust. Sulphur. His heart pounded. It was so strong. He wiped his hand on his cotton shorts, and in fluid silent motion dug deeply in his pocket again, withdrawing his phone. The water glass beside him reflected the glow of its screen like some lonely fisherman's lantern. He did not notice as fingerprints smudged across its brittle, crystalline surface. More appeared, large and from an invisible owner. Their imprint came from the same filth as the door handle. Declan's nail rasped away dried mud around the keyhole. That must be what's inside too, he thought, using the screen's illumination as he wriggled the key. He pushed and cranked the key harder, his fear rippling. Sweat poured from him. Finally it turned. Salvation! Declan reached for the besmirched glass, which bounced from his fingertips. Shit! He hissed, grasping at thin air as it spiraled into the atrium's cavernous mouth. He cringed, braced for the fracture and crescendo of 1,000 glass shards across the marble floor. After an inordinately long drop, a muffled crunch. He needed more light, fast. The phone's lock screen demanded his password over the saved photograph of a short handwritten poem, one of his own. It read, "A lost romantic forever gives chances to false lovers and shadow eaters who feed on light, giving love like early morning sunshine in spring, but cursed by the gods from the first touch. He knew the words by heart, but had no time for their usual sting. He leaned over the wall, his eyes following the phone's maximized beam. In its halo, the glass shard shone back at him from a large ceramic plant pot. An injured wet leaf still waved from impact. Damn, that was lucky, he thought. I'll clean it up in the morning. Splashes of water sparkled like dew on the marble floor. He was not close enough to squint at fresh tracks that led from one puddle in the shape of hooves. Declan froze. Beyond, from below, came squeaks and scratches. Someone is moving the furniture, he thought. Or something is. What is that? With braced elbows and shaking fingers, Declan awkwardly directed the light from the broken glass towards the open-plan living room. He heard his own halting breath as from the third floor the beam barely penetrated the high-ceilinged space beyond the first ghostly outline of chairs and a coffee table. He squinted and blinked to focus past their forlorn shapes, deeper into the area where people had recently made inane small talk during the New Year party. Nothing. The space gave no more clues in its heavy, impenetrable airs. Declan guided the light around the edges of the circular atrium. The hanging silence of surrounding banana groves, infamous hives of the paranormal, had invaded the house. What was that? That shadow? It hugged one of the pillars. Declan gulped, training the light back on its amorphous shape. It melted to the dark side of the column, a little too reluctantly. The hairs on his neck stood straight. He bolted into his room, feeling the dark at his naked back. Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe. I must leave you now, but do not despair. If you listen to the next installment, the curse cannot harm you, but you must believe. Now pull the blanket over your head and be quiet. You are not alone. Shh.